When I was working on the Hyperwaves video for the TS-10, it suddenly dawned on me how to do wave sequencing on the EPS-16 Plus and ASR-10. What we need when we want to do wave sequencing is some sort of timing setting, and that's just what Ensoniq gave us in the EPS-16 Plus and ASR-10. Now, thinking about that, I looked at the SD-1 that was recently given to me, started playing with it, and yes, it's also possible to do wave sequencing on the SD-1, and we will have a look at that as well. Each instrument in the EPS-16 Plus and ASR-10 has 8 layers, and each layer can have a delayed start time, which can be set in milliseconds, with a maximum of 5000 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds. So within each instrument we can give each layer its own delay time, so that the layers play in sync with tempo. What we need to know first, of course, is what tempo we are working on, so we can know what values to use for each layer. Let's say we're working on 120 beats per minute for this example and do a calculation with that. So the BPM is 120, 1 minute is 60 seconds. 60 seconds is 60,000 milliseconds. Now if we divide 60,000 by a BPM of 120, we get a value of 500 milliseconds. This means that at 120 beats per minute, 1 beat or a quarter note is 500 milliseconds in length. Now that we know that each beat is 500 milliseconds in length, let's start programming. For this example, I send a transwave called Transboy. I think it's one of the transwaves from the Fismo, from my PC over MIDI to the EPS-16 Plus. I use sample wrench, and transwaves are usually very small and don't take much time to transfer. Let's make some changes first before we copy this layer to all the other layers in the instrument. We will be using the shortcuts methods, which means that pressing 3 buttons in quick succession will get us to the correct edit page. So let's get started. First, we'll reset the LFO amount to pitch modulation. Press Edit Pitch 2, Edit Pitch 2, and press both the up and down arrow buttons and we're done. Next, press Edit Wave 0, Edit Wave 0, and let's walk through the wave settings. The loop mode is forward. The sample start and sample end are fine. Loop start is 0 and loop end is 400. The loop was actually embedded in the transfer from sample wrench, so that was easy. Let's move to the mod page and set the modulation to Transwave and the source to wheel. Navigate to the right and set the mod amount to the end of the transwave, which is 99. And the range has no function when we're using transwaves. Now when we play a key and move the mod wheel up to the forward position, we will hear the EPS-16 Plus scan through the transwave, and in this case also loop at the last single cycle or frame of the transwave. Now we copy layer 1 to all the other layers in the instrument. Press Command Layer and navigate to the Copy Layer page. Press Yes. Copy to the current instrument. Press Yes. Then it will ask Copy Parameters Only. Press Yes. And it says Layer 2 created. By only copying the parameters and not the wave data itself, Ensoniq created a way to save memory. We are using the same wave sample data from layer 1 for each of the other wave samples in the other layers. Now repeat this for layer 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. When we're done, we will move on. Now press Edit Instrument 0, Edit Instrument 0. This takes you to the instrument patch page where we define which layers are in the patch. And activate all layers by navigating to the dash and press the arrow up button. Now turn down the volume a bit before you play a key, because at this point you're playing all the layers at the same time, so the sound will be really loud and probably distorted. Okay, next up we will set the timing for each layer. Press the edit button and make sure you set it to layer 2. And then press the edit layer 6 buttons. Here we set the delay time for each layer, which is going to be 500 milliseconds for this layer. Alright, almost there. Then press edit, set the layer to 3, press edit and set the delay time to 1000 milliseconds. And press edit, set the layer to 4 and set the delay time to 1500 milliseconds. Press edit and set it to layer 5. Press edit and set the delay time to 2000. Oops. There we go. Press edit button and layer 6. Press edit and set the delay time to 2500. We can do this by pressing the up and down arrow buttons at the same time. Then edit, choose layer 7, edit, and set the layer delay time to 3000 milliseconds. Press edit, set it to layer 8, press edit and set the delay time to 3500 milliseconds. Now when we play a key, we will hear each layer play one after the other, but all are actually being added to layer 1. So check this out. That's not what we want, so we will need to make some adjustments to the amp envelope, envelope 3. Press edit and navigate to the left, so to make sure that we're choosing layer all and wave sample all, and we make sure that we're editing all layers at the same time. Press edit envelope 3 0, edit envelope 3 0, and this is the envelope presets page, navigate 9 steps up to envelope short blip. And now when you play a key, you will hear 8 short clicks or blips. Alright, let's do something about that. Press Edit Envelope 3, 3, Edit Envelope 3, 3, and we are at the Envelope 3 times page. Adjust time 2 to around 40 for now. And set time 3, time 4, and time 5 to 0. You will hear 8 clear staccato notes playing when you play a note. So alright, each layer now still sounds the same. So let's make some adjustments in the Transwave mod amount page. And note that the mod wheel is still in the up or forward position. Press Edit and make sure that layer 1 and wave sample 1 are selected. Then press Edit Wave 8, Edit Wave 8 and set the mod amount to 0. Then press Edit and select layer 2, wave sample 2, and press Edit again and set the mod amount to 86 this time. And press Edit, select layer 3, wave sample 3, press Edit and set the mod amount to 39. There we go, 39. Then press Edit, select layer 4, wave sample 4, and press Edit and set the amount to plus 18. Press Edit, select layer 5, wave sample 5, press Edit and set the amount to 26. Press Edit, select layer 6, wave sample 6 and Edit and set the mod amount to 71. Yeah, 71. Then press Edit, select layer 7, wave sample 7 and set the mod amount to 53. Press Edit, select layer 8, wave sample 8 and press Edit and set the mod amount to 34. And now let's listen to how it sounds. Nice. Alright. Press Edit again and navigate to the left so layer all and wave sample all is selected. Let's add some extra modulations to it. Let's modulate the pitch and filter 1 with envelope 1. Press Edit envelope 1 0, Edit envelope 1 0, and we are at the envelope presets page for envelope 1. Navigate 9 steps up to the preset short blip. Then press Edit Pitch 3, Edit Pitch 3 to get to the pitch envelope 1 amount page and set it to plus 12. Navigate 1 page to the right and set the random frequency to 50 by pressing both the up and down buttons and set the amount to 14. And let's hear it. Alright, in the filter section it's set up like this. 3 3-pole filter and a 1-pole filter. Let's set a cut of 1 to 83 and cut of 2 to 75. Then the envelope 2 amount to 0. Now set the filter 1 modulation to envelope 1 and set it to -99. Let's add some nice delay, so press the effects button on the right and navigate to dual delays. Then press on the left side of the display edit and the effects button and choose stereo bounce. Navigate to the right and set the bus delay mix for bus 1 to 33, the bus 1 feedback to 27, and one more page to the right, set the left time value to 375 and the right value to 750. And now it sounds like this. Alright, let's see how that works on the SD-1. First off, the delay time settings on the SD-1 are different from the EPS-16 Plus. In the SD-1, each of the 6 voices in a sound can have a delay start, and this delay start can be 250 milliseconds maximum, as it seems. But in the program control page there is a delay time multiplier, and we can set the voice delay to 1 time, 2 times, 4 times or 8 times. The multiplier setting is for the whole sound, all 6 voices, so a sound can either have a maximum delay time of 250 milliseconds, 500 milliseconds, 1000 milliseconds or 2000 milliseconds. Then in the wave edit page, each value step up or down is then either 1 millisecond, 2 milliseconds, 4 milliseconds or 8 milliseconds, depending on the multiplier that we chose in the program control page. Okay, let's start programming. I'm just choosing a sound here, and let's reset or initialize that sound first. We're going to use all 6 voices, so make sure they are all activated for this patch. Then double press the select voice button to select all voices. Now press the copy button and select default. And there you go. All voices have been initialized, to the string sound, each with the same values. For this example, we will use waves from the waveforms category. So navigate to the first wave of that category. All other voices also change to that same wave, so that's okay, don't worry about that now. Next, press the envelope 3 and then the copy button. Envelope 3 copy. Here we can select an envelope preset for envelope 3. Navigate to short blip, and that's it, done. Now press the envelope 3 button and press once more to get to the times page and set decay 1 to around 40. Before we set the voice delay times, we need to decide how much time we want. So let's use the full 2000 milliseconds for this. So press the program control and choose delay 8 times. So 8 times 250 milliseconds is 2000 milliseconds, which is 2 seconds. Let's work with the same BPM as in the EPS-16 Plus example. So a quarter note or 1 beat at a BPM of 120 is 500 milliseconds. Let's go and set that up. Let's mute voice 5 and 6 for now. Voice 1 needs no delay. Voice 2 needs a delay of 500 milliseconds. Now each increment of delay is 8 milliseconds because we set the delay parameter in the program control to 8 times. We will use a trick that I learned while working with the TS-10 and Hyperwaves. The closest we can get to 500 milliseconds is to use a value of 62 here. 62 times 8 milliseconds is 496 milliseconds, right? So we will set the delay for voice 2 to 62, even though we are 4 milliseconds short. Voice 3 needs a delay time of 1000 milliseconds. 1000 divided by 8 milliseconds is 125. Okay, done. Voice 4 needs a delay time of 1500 milliseconds. So we add the values of voice 2 and voice 3, which is 62 plus 125 is 187. But 187 times 8 milliseconds is 1496 milliseconds. So again, we are 4 milliseconds short. When we set it to 188, then the delay time for voice 4 is 188 times 8 milliseconds is 1504 milliseconds, which is 4 milliseconds too much. This is perfect because now the value of the delay value of voice 1 and the delay value of voice 4 added together is 2000 milliseconds. Okay, timing is done. Now let's choose some waveforms for each voice. Let's use organ V4 for voice 1, a sawtooth for voice 2, a clav wave for voice 3, and vocal bell for voice 4. Now here's our little 4-voice wave sequence, or mini hyperwave, or Hyperwave Light, whatever you want to call it. Let's also use voice 5 and 6 and switch them on. Now set the delay time for voice 5 to 32. So it adds a note between voice 1 and 2. We will use the resonant 3-wave in the Transwave category. There we go. Where are you? Yeah, there you are. And then set the delay for voice 6. Set the delay to 220, so it adds an extra note at the end of the wave sequence. Set the wave to Electro X from the Transwave category. Yeah. Next, we can tweak the length of each step a little bit. So double press the select voice to select all voices. Then envelope 3, and navigate to the times page and set the decay for example to 54. Okay, nice. Are we done yet? No. Double press the select voice button to select all voices, and then press envelope 1 and then the copy button, envelope 1 copy. Select default and navigate up to all zeros. Press yes and then select envelope 1 again. And set the levels to initial level 0, then peak at 24, set the break level to 24, and set break 2 to 0 and the sustain to 0. Press envelope 1 and set the times to attack time to 0, decay 1 to 12, decay 2 to 13, decay 3 to 0, and the release to 0. Now press envelope 1 and set the mode, the envelope mode, to repeat. Next, press pitch modulation, and we will have envelope 1 modulate the pitch with a value of -4. Also, we'll have noise modulate the pitch. Set the mod source to noise and the mod amount to +7. we will leave the LFO at 0. So press the up and down buttons at the same time and it's reset to 0. Okay, let's move to the LFO page. Over there we will adjust the noise rate to 70. Oh, it's already set to 70, so that's good. Now that we are on the LFO page, let's set the LFO shape to triangle and the restart mode to off. Press LFO once more and set the rate to 21 and the level to 99. And that's useful for later. I will turn down the reverb a little bit here. Okay, how does it sound now? Now that sounds okay, but it's very short. So I was looking for a way to change that. Is that possible? Yeah, let's do it. Check this out. We are still in group edit mode. If you're not in group edit mode, then double press the select voice button. Then press envelope 3 times until we are on the page where we can set the mode for envelope 3 and set it to a repeat. Press envelope 3 again, twice till we get to the times page. When we play the sound and hold the key, it sounds like this now. Envelope 3 is now repeating the steps. It's just not continuous. So let's try this. Set decay 1 to 52 and decay 2 to 4, decay 3 to 0 and the release to 65. Oh, and remember that earlier we assigned a transwave to voice 5 and 6. Let's have those both modulated by the LFO. We already set the LFO values earlier. Select voice 5, press the wave button and leave the start at 0. Set the mod source to LFO and the mod amount to 24. Press select voice and select voice 6. Press the wave button and set the start to 50. The mod source to LFO and the mod amount to -50. And now let's hear it. Okay, let's move back to the EPS-16 Plus. In the first example, we used the same transwave for each layer and set the transwave start point for each layer to a different value, which created the difference in sound for each layer. But of course, we can also use different samples for each layer. I've loaded up 8 sounds of 2 seconds each into each instrument, and this time I did not use Sample Range, but instead I used 2 of the applications that my friend Thomas programmed especially for us people that work with Ensoniq samplers. So let's have a quick look at those applications. The first application is called Wave to EFE. With this app we can convert wave files to EPS, EPS-16 Plus and ASR-10.efe instrument files. It works like this. We put our wave files in the wave in folder and then we choose the application we want to run, in this case EPS-16 Plus. Then the command window will pop up and there we can choose one of the target sample rates. So let's choose the option 44.1 kilohertz and let's choose that for each of the 8 wave files. And when conversion is finished, we will find the converted wave files in the EFE out folder. Now let's copy those files and move to the next application, which is multiple EFE to image and HFE. With this application we can create a floppy disk image file of the instruments that we want to have on a floppy disk, all within the capacity of the floppy disk storage, of course. We can then write this image file to a floppy disk with OmniFlop. Okay, the principle is the same as with the other application. We have an EFE in folder where we drop Ensoniq instruments files. We choose which application we want to run, and in this case EPS and EPS-16 Plus. The command prompt will come up and when the image creation is finished it will give an overview of what's on the disk image. Then on the IMG EPS out folder we will find a file named new E and we can rename it to tutorial and then write it to floppy disk using OmniFlop. I have not installed a floppy emulator in the EPS-16 Plus yet, so that's why I'm still using this option of OmniFlop. Now this application also creates an HFE file which we will find in the HFE out folder. We can put it on a USB stick and load it from there into the sampler when we have a floppy disk emulator installed. Now that's not all. Thomas also created EPS-16 Plus Super Disk, which will create a floppy emulator image file that holds about 3 times the data of a regular EPS-16 Plus floppy disk. For the EPS-16 Plus with memory expansion, this means that you can save the full 2 megabytes of RAM to 1 floppy emulator image. ASR-10 Super Disk will create a floppy emulator image, which also holds 3 times as much as a regular ASR-10 floppy disk. And that's great. Thomas, thanks a lot and keep up the good work. We love you, man. Alright, these are the 8 sounds that I loaded. We will now construct one instrument of 8 layers from this. We will copy the layer from each instrument to instrument 1. So here we go. Press the instrument 2 button, then press edit button, and the cursor should now be on layer 1. Press command layer 1, command layer 1 to get to the layer copy page. Press yes and press the instrument we want to copy to, in this case instrument 1. Press yes and it will say copying data and layer 2 created. Repeat this step for instrument 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So press instrument 3, press yes. Press instrument 4, press yes. Instrument 5, press yes. Instrument 6, press yes. Instrument 7, press yes. And instrument 8, press yes. We now need to add all layers to the patch, so press edit instrument 0, edit instrument 0 and switch on every layer in this patch. When we play a key, we will hear all samples play at the same time. Good, let's program the wave sequence. Let's use a delay of 300 milliseconds for each layer, and here we go. Actually, we don't need these instruments anymore, so let's delete them. Press instrument and then navigate to delete instrument and press the 2 button. Yes, 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 yes. Yes and yes. So now we have a clean desk to work with, so to speak. Press the edit button and make sure it is set to layer 2. And press edit layer 6, and here we set the delay times for the layer, which is going to be 300 milliseconds for this layer. It's the same procedure as before. So press edit, layer 3. Press edit, set the delay to 600. Edit, layer 4. Press edit and delay to 900. Yeah, 900. Press edit, layer 5, edit, and set it to 1200. And press edit, choose layer 6, press edit and set it to 1500. And edit layer 7 and edit and set it to 1800. Press edit layer 8 and set it to 2100 milliseconds. So when we play a key, we will hear each layer play one after the other, and all are being added to layer 1, just like in the very first example with the Transwave. So we know what it sounds like. I'm not playing it. So we do something about it. Press edit and navigate one position to the left so the display says layer all. Then press edit envelope 30, edit envelope 30, and navigate 9 positions up to the envelope template short blip. Play a key and we will hear 8 short blips. Alright. Press edit envelope 33, edit envelope 33, and set time 2 to 40. Time 3 to 0, time 4 to 0, and time 5 to 0. Now when we play a note, we will hear our 8-step wave sequence of the EPS-16 Plus. Let's edit some more. Press the edit button and make sure that all layers are selected. Then let's move to the pitch page first and switch off the LFO to pitch amount. Press edit pitch 2, edit pitch 2, and when we press both the arrow up and down buttons, the value will reset to 0. Next, press the LFO button and set the LFO wave to square and the speed to 27, which, according to the EPS-16 Plus manual, equals a speed of 3 Hz. Okay, navigate one page to the right and set the LFO depth to 99. The LFO delay should be 0. Navigate to the right and set the LFO mode to reset on, so that the LFO will be re-triggered on each key that we play. We can leave the LFO mod and LFO rate mod alone and leave them at 0. What we just did has no effect yet on our sound, so let's take care of that now. Press edit pitch 7, edit pitch 7, and set the pitch mod to LFO, and then adjust the value to where it sounds just right, which is at -76. And let's check this out. It now sounds like it's playing 16th notes, of which the first one is 1 octave below the second one. That's nice, right? Okay, let's adjust the length of the steps just a little bit. Press edit envelope 33, edit envelope 33, and set time 2 to 52. And it's just to make it sound a bit more glued together. Let's add some effect to it. Stereo delay usually works well for this. So press the effect button on the right side of the display and navigate to FX-ROM 4 dual delays again. And then press edit and the effects button on the left. And let's adjust the variation number 1 stereo bounce preset. Navigate to the right and leave the bus 1 delay to 25. Then to the right and leave bus 1 feedback to 19. Navigate to the right and set the left time to 450. And the right time to 750. So let's listen to our end results. Of course, we can do the same thing on the ASR-10, and since we have more RAM at our disposal, we can use multi-sampling for each sound and use 44.1 kHz samples without immediately maxing out memory. I made an instrument with the same source material as on the EPS-16 Plus, but I used 1 sample per octave, so 5 samples per layer, all at 44.1 kHz. So yeah, that means that this instrument alone contains 40 samples. Yeah, it took some time to make it, but I like doing that, so and it sounds great, I think so. Okay, this is an 8-step wave sequence. But remember that we have 5000 milliseconds or 5 seconds to work with. So if you load that same instrument again in instrument 2 and adjust the delay times, we will have a 16-step wave sequence. Or you can make another instrument like I did, and with different delay times, the delay times that extend actually past the delay times of instrument 1, so you have 16 steps. So let's check that out. I have the file loaded in the meantime. So instrument 1, oh, let me just check it out here. Layer 1, instrument 1, layer 8. Yeah, delay time is 2100 milliseconds. So the first layer in instrument 2 should start at 2400 milliseconds. So there we go, 2700, 3000. 33, 3600, 3900, 4200 and 4500. So now when we press the load button, press instrument 1 and double tap instrument 2, we can play both instruments at the same time, but because of the delay times, instrument 2 will sound after instrument 1. The TS-10 and TS-12 are of course kings of hyperwaves within the Ensoniq family of synths and samplers. If the techniques used in this video are based on how the hyperwaves work in the TS synths, you might be wondering why the TS is in this video. Well, before we find out, let's clear something up first. The synth engine and the sample playback engine in the TS are really two separate entities. When we load an EPS-16 Plus or ASR-10 instrument, it's possible to edit the instrument in the same way as on the samplers, with the exception of copying data. For example, we cannot copy sample data from one layer to the other in the TS, and all edits that we make need to be saved on floppy or USB stick if you have a floppy emulator installed, so we can use them the next time we start up the TS. We can't save those edits internally. Also, samples cannot be edited with the internal synth engine, which means we will not be able to use, for example, the TS's modulation mixer, and samples cannot directly be used in a hyperwave. But now that we know this method of using the layer delay, we have 5 seconds available to blend the TS's internal hyperwave with our ASR-10 custom Superwave so that they sound as one. Here's how that works. I loaded up the Superwave 1 from the ASR-10, and that instrument has 8 layers, right? Here's what we're going to do. To blend the sample Superwave with the internal Hyperwave, we will only use the odd layers or steps from the sampled instrument and the even steps of the Hyperwave. So let's switch off the even layers first. Okay, done. And when we play a key, we will hear layer 1 play at 0 milliseconds, layer 3 play at 600 milliseconds, layer 5 at 1200 milliseconds, and layer 7 at 1800 milliseconds. Now let's do the same for the hyperwave, but let's use only the even steps. So we need to switch off steps 1, 3, 5 and 7. I already prepared something, so let's have a look at that. Press select voice and wave button, and we can see that the hyperwave has 9 steps. It starts at 1, it ends at step 9, and it starts looping at step 9. And we're making step 9 a silent step just for practical purposes. Okay, select voice, edit wave list, and move to step 1. Press the timing button, and basically, yeah, we will set step 1 to a volume of -50. And step 2 is just 0 dB, and I set it to conga just for the demo. Duration of all steps is 300 milliseconds. Step 3, we set it to -50, doesn't matter what sound it is. Step 4, again the conga. Step 5 is going to be at -50 dB. Step 6 is good. Step 7, set it to -50, and step 8 is again the conga, and step 9 is also set to -50 dB. And that wave now sounds like this. I've already set up a preset so we can hear them together. So we can look at the tracks. That's actually the hyperwave of the TS-10, and that's the sampled Superwave. And this is how they sound together. Okay, let's make this 8-step wave sequence into a 16-step wave sequence. I loaded Superwave 2 from the ASR-10 SCSI disk to sound 0 of the second sample bank in the TS, which is bank 9. It's too large to put them both in one bank. Now, instead of using the odd layers or steps in this sampled instrument, we will use the even layers. So we need to switch off layer 1, 3, 5 and 7. Then in the hyperwave, where are you? There you are. Okay, we will only use the odd steps from the hyperwave between steps 9 through 16. So that means that we need to switch on step 9, switch off step 10, switch on 11, switch off step 12, switch on 13, switch off 14, and switch on 15 and 16. Set it to -50. It's a silent step. Okay, let's write that sound to internal memory. And let's hear that together with our sampled instruments, our Megawave. Okay, that works well. Now let's fill in the hyperwave with some different waveforms. I've already set things up, so let's have a look at that. Press select voice and edit wave list, and let's check out step 2. We used a synth fox, then step 4 a folk flute, step 6 a church organ wave, step 8 is an air loop, step 9 is a saw wave, step 11 is a bell wave from the Transwave category, and step 13 is vocal ah, and last is step 15 bell wave 4. And step 16, yeah, step 16 is silent. And the hyperwave now sounds like this. Okay, let's check out how this sounds together with our sampled instruments, the Superwaves. I've already prepared it in the preset here. If we look at the tracks, you can see that I adjusted the hyperwave volume just a little bit. So listen to this. That sounded okay. I just thought that the steps in the hyperwave sounded a bit too long compared to the steps in the sampled instruments. Now, there is a way to change that. It's kind of tricky, but I will try to explain it. If we look at the hyperwave here, every step is 300 milliseconds, right? Some steps are muted, some steps are switched on. Now, if we want to change the duration of one step, for example to 180, we need to adjust the duration of another step to make up for that time change. So we need to set the silent step that follows to a value of 420, so that together they have a duration of 600. So let's change folk flute to 180, silent step 420, church organ 180, silent step 420, air loop 180, and then step 9. Step 9 is not a silent step, this is also a step. So set that value to 180. So the next step, step 10, will have to make up in timing for both step 8 and 9. So step 10 will be 540. Okay, next steps are normal again, 180 and 420. Vocal A 180, 420. Bell wave 180 and 420. Another thing that is nice to do is to copy the wave list to voice 2 and then give voice 2 a delay start time of 150 milliseconds. And then I also transposed voice one octave down. And let's listen to that. Now the steps sound more staccato, and if we put that together in a preset with our sampled Superwave instruments and just the volume a little bit, we can now play our TS-10 Megawave.